Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Crime and Crafting, where I talk about cases that interest me and I also do a craft. All of the materials and sources I use will be down in the description box, so let's get to crafting. So for my first case on this channel, I wanted to keep it a little close to where I'm based out of. So this case is a Kentucky/Ohio case, and I'm going to be talking about Paige Johnson today. Paige Johnson was born August 29th in 1993. She was described as sweet, outgoing, a social butterfly. She was raised in a sort of unstable family situation, though. Her father was a convicted felon, and Paige ended up giving birth at age 15 and dropping out of school, so she had a 2-year-old daughter whenever she disappeared. And she did not seem to have a job either. But between her sister and her mother and all of the interviews that I've seen, they seem like they were very close, especially her and her sister. Paige went missing September 23rd, 2010, whenever she was just 17 years old. She was last seen with 22-year-old Jacob Bumpus. We know that they hung out that night because of communication over their Facebook walls. Originally, Jacob claimed to have dropped her off at her mother's house in Covington around 1 a.m. Paige's remains were found March 22nd, 2020, by a deer hunter in Claremont County, Ohio. Her skull was found burnt, and the identification had to be made with dental records. Her cause of death is still unknown, or it just hasn't been released to the public because it's an ongoing investigation. Jacob was on parole for a robbery in 2007 when police came to question him about Paige's disappearance. When police came to question Jacob and search his home, they found items that constituted a parole violation, and they were going to arrest him. Jacob attempted to run from police officers, and he wasn't charged with anything related to Paige at the time, but he was arrested. He was released in 2012. However, a few months after Paige's remains were found, Jacob was arrested during a traffic stop on July 28, 2020, and he was indicted on gross abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. He ended up pleading not guilty, and his bond was set at $50,000, which was paid by a bail bondsman on the condition that he would have no contact with Paige's family. However, charges could be added once Paige's cause of death is determined. There hasn't been a trial date set, and there haven't really been any updates on the case since late last year, but there's a lot of evidence against him. He was the last known person to see her, and it also seemed like he had a history of violence. The robbery that he was on parole for that he committed in 2007, his victim said that he pulled a knife on him. Multiple people allegedly saw Paige passed out at a party the night that she disappeared, and she was carried out by Jacob and a possible second man. When police searched Jacob's home, they found human blood on clothing along with some other evidence. His house was the last place that him and Paige had hung out as far as we know. Jacob also did a lot of sketchy things leading up to and after Paige's disappearance. He changed his phone in the days following the disappearance, probably in an attempt to throw police off from the cell phone pings. He also apparently borrowed his brother Caleb's car, as evidenced by Caleb's roommate, saying that he overheard Jacob asking to borrow the car. Caleb's roommate also said that Caleb extensively cleaned his car after Paige's disappearance, which was weird because Caleb was apparently a very messy person and never cleaned his car. And Caleb's roommate also said that he saw, quote-unquote, spilled red paint in the trunk. There's also, again, the fact that Jacob attempted to run from police officers whenever he was about to be arrested for a parole violation when the police came to question him. An affidavit also found that he gave Paige alcohol while they were hanging out that night, which may explain why multiple people saw Paige passed out. Jacob's also been shown to be consistently uncooperative with police, and he has refused to take a lie detector test, which doesn't necessarily mean anything because lie detector tests have been shown to be notoriously inaccurate and aren't technically admissible in court. But if you have nothing to hide, then why refuse to take one? Paige's mother, Donna, was ecstatic the day that Jacob was arrested because she's very happy that she can die knowing where her child is now. That was one of her biggest fears, that she would die not knowing where Paige is. The day that Jacob was arrested, she said, was the first day that she's been happy since Paige vanished. This is an ongoing case, so there's not a lot of evidence that's been released to the public by police, but here's my overarching loose theory. I think that Jacob invited Paige over with the intent to have sex with her that night, and he gave her alcohol so that her inhibitions would be lowered, but she still didn't want that. So he killed her in his house, as evidenced by the bloody clothing. He may have dismembered or burned her body in his house or at the park, I'm not sure. But then he asked to borrow his brother's car so that he would throw police off, because, you know, if they didn't see his car there, then he wasn't there, obviously. And then he transported her to the park in the trunk to dispose of her. I'm going to continue to follow this case and the trial very closely. Hopefully they will set a trial date soon, so we can hopefully get some justice for Paige. Thank you guys so much for watching my first video on this channel. I will be putting everything that I make on this channel for sale in my Etsy, which is also going to be linked below in the description box. Please like and subscribe, and if you guys have any feedback for me, I'd really appreciate it, because considering this is my first video. I really enjoyed it though. It was really fun to just kind of sit and talk and do a craft. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.